The best school district in Arizona.
The best school district in Arizona is here.
Safford.
Safford, Arizona.
Safford, of course.
This is the best school.
Right here in
Ours,
Safford,
of course.
Arizona.
Best school
Safford.
district in
Safford,
Arizona is right
Right
here.
here.
It's wherever our Safford staff and students are at.
My experience with TBS-DIA has been very positive. I feel like I've learned a lot about myself. I feel like I've learned a lot about my coworkers, the district. I feel like I've gotten to know people that I haven't really been around. I just really feel that this is something that everybody should go through. There's a lot to take away from it. It gets very heavy at times. I really feel like this is something that has helped me grow as an individual as well as an educator.
TBS-DIA to me is a declarative statement made by Superintendent Van Winkle as a challenge to not only us as teachers, but the entire community, support staff, students, parents, to go above and beyond everything possible to achieve that challenge statement to make Safford the best school district in Arizona.
The Circles activity was a very neat activity that I actually used quite a bit. It's helped me a lot. One circle is what really happened, and the other circle is what did I make it mean. And it just has to do with perspective. Sometimes things happen, we get our feelings hurt, or we make it mean something different. And when you sit down and write those down, you realize that maybe that's not the reality. So there was a quote I learned from TBS-DIA leadership training that I think a lot of people could benefit from. And the quote is, "You're one thought away from feeling differently."
So when I started back in July, shortly after that, the TBS-DIA was being passed around, but no one told me what it meant. And they told me to go watch this video, and I never did. And then Mr. Van Winkle came to the opening first day for teachers and staff to be back, and he's in the auditorium, and he tells us what it means, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty bold. There's a lots of school districts in Arizona, and to say we are the best is a very bold statement. I've worked in a couple of districts, they've all been good, but as I've thought about it over this past year, I really like being bold like that and saying we are the best school district in Arizona. Does that mean we are? I don't know. Does that mean we're working towards it? Absolutely. And that's what it's all about, is becoming and doing that and being that. So the best school district in Arizona, Safford, absolutely.
When Ms. Lightsky asked me to participate in these TBS-DIA meetings, I got to really experience what it is that Mr. Van Winkle got to partake in when creating TBS-DIA, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's been great interacting with everybody and learning a new state of being, not just falling in a rut and doing everything how we normally do it.
With the cultural change, with the ideas that are brought forth in the training that we receive, it gives us a different way of looking at who we are and what we do and how we approach things. And so, yeah, it's making a change, and I think it's going to continue to do so. Instead of saying, why am I, or how can I be, you say, I am, and it helps you feel that that's possible. Instead of being maybe taken back a little bit, you can push yourself forward into whatever it is you want to be.
TBS-DIA means that we're the best. We have the best students, we have the best teachers, we have the best support staff. We just are the best. The people that work here are the best, and that's who we hire, and that's who we retain, and that's what we encourage each other to be. For example, just today at our school, we had one of our faculty members who's been having some family medical issues, and all we had to do was get the word out, and people are stepping up and volunteering time and money and food to help this family as they struggle through. And so ultimately, I think TBS-DIA means family. People are family, we take care of each other, and that's why this is the best school district in Arizona to work in.
For me, it means it's a mindset, it's a way of conducting your life. If you believe you can achieve, and so with that mindset, we're putting it out there that we are the best school district in Arizona, and if that's what we believe, that's ultimately what we will achieve.
TBS-DIA means that we're always striving to do better. For lack of better terms, we want to be unreasonable. We want to not just live with the status quo. We want to push to be better at everything that we do.
Owners, you have say, and you create choices and possibilities, which again I think will help with the community. Victim, you just look at what's there and you are stuck. So victims don't look for a way out and they want to blame other people. Owners take ownership of what they do, they take responsibility.
My experience with TBS-DIA is watching it being incorporated on a daily basis, just like this interview right here. Being able to see people respond and care more about each other, and probably one of the greatest things that I've learned from that is not saying bad things about people, not spreading gossip. That's been a cool thing for me.
The importance of the phrase "I am" gives you something to work for or know that you are. So if we say "I am TBS-DIA," then it's a declaration, and we are the greatest school district in Arizona. And I know with all the Red for Ed going on, my sister lives in Mesa, and she called me and said, "Are you guys working?" And I said, "Well, yeah, we're working." And she said, "Your school's still in session?" And I said, "Yeah, because we're TBS-DIA." And she's like, "Well, what does that mean?" And I said, "We're the best school district in Arizona." And she thought for a minute and she said, "That's awesome." So I think it's who we are, and it's so exciting to be a part of something like this.
We had an all-female group, which you can imagine, a lot of estrogen, and talking about feelings and ownership and leadership can be pretty crazy. But we actually all learned to kind of come together, and we could talk to each other about certain things. We had shy people, we had outgoing people, and we all kind of learned to understand each other a lot more. And I was able to do that with other coworkers, some that I might have had some problems with before. I was able to use some of the things that I learned and understand them a little bit better. So it made it better for a better working environment.
What I've noticed with all the schools and the administrators and all the teachers is that the biggest change is the realization of being human and caring for each other. That as they got to know each other at a different level, different type of communication, they've started to open up and trust each other and share each other's lives. You know, it's become more of a family environment rather than work.
I first experienced TBS-DIA through the coaching in the fall with the administrators, and it was life-altering. Not just for business coaching, not just for here in the district, but so much of it applies to who you are as a person. And when I finished, what I really realized it's about is being human. And one of the key phrases towards the end of the coaching is, how are you being in the matter of doing? So you're a human being, or are you a human doing? And how are you actually being while you're doing? And you realize that this is about stopping and being kind and being human and thinking about what you're really doing, but also how you're doing it. So I got involved with writing a grant to extend this so that just the administrators weren't trying to pass this and make it their message. And so I wrote a grant for United Way and got funding to bring our coach, Leon Peterson, back to Safford and spread it to groups all over the district, which when we had to present to the United Way, they kind of asked, what difference is this going to make? And that's exactly what the grant talks about is, I've had a lot of coaching on how to be a leader, I've had a lot of seminars, I've read a lot of books about leadership, but TBS-DIA and the coaching we've experienced through this wasn't about that, though that came from it. It was truly about how do you look at things and how do you relate with people, and how does your relationships with people perfect performance. And you suddenly realize that the way people's situation occurs to them directly relates to their performance. So we had to sell that. We had to sell that to United Way, and I'm grateful that they were willing to listen, because they were then able to give us grant money and allow us to spread this so that teachers are now part of it, and now students are part of it. And it's been exciting this year to just watch it truly spread exponentially.
I'm new to the district this year, and I've noticed that we're getting more help out to people that need it. And so I noticed a big difference, because I have high schoolers, and I think they've noticed a difference in the schools, that more counseling's available, more people are stepping up to help out.
And I think the flood did bring the community together, because there was a lot of damage done and people got together to help one another. So we've just expounded on the community helping one another from there.
My experience at first, I kind of felt guarded because of the unknown of it, because it immediately was asking us to look inside ourselves introspectively, but then at the same time, what our part was in the whole in connecting with everyone around us, whoever we had influence with or had influence over. So at first, I was kind of nervous about it, but I knew it was something that I wanted to buy into. I knew it was kind of felt uncomfortable, but I felt it would take us to a higher level or put us on a path to grow even more and have an influence that this would spread to other staff, spread to students. So then it went from that to, okay, I want to be a part of this, and what is my part? Now what's kind of different for me is I've just come into a new position within the district at the district office. I was a site level principal, and then in the middle of this, I got a new job within the school. And so it's kind of finding my role within that. Even though I have district influence, I don't have that everyday at one school influence. So for me, it's kind of finding what my role is in that. I know there are other teacher leaders and school leaders that kind of became my sphere of influence. So it's how I impact that and empower them and still lead them.
I work in maintenance and transportation, and our department over there was in conflict, very much so. You know, people were dreading coming to work, and when they were at work, it was, you know, they were having altercations, and nobody wanted to be around. They wanted to come in and clock out as soon as they were able and leave. And now we're a family over there. We, you know, genuinely care about what everybody else is doing, and try to help in any way we can to succeed and to make it a place of family, of you know, we're spending the majority of our time away from our families to be at work and to make this thing a success. You know, it helps so much to have that environment there to be loving and caring for one another over there, and it genuinely has changed, you know, 180 degrees. And it's awesome, and you can feel it when you walk in over there. It's not just a superficial, hey, how are you? Like it's a genuine love that we have over there, for sure.
This program has most definitely brought me closer to my coworkers. I feel like I have a relationship with my administrators like I've never had before. I've been here for 3 years, and this is the first year that I've really felt like I have say in what goes on around here. I feel like my administrators really care about what we as educators think and feel, and what we're experiencing in our classroom. So I think that the relationships that I've gained through this program have been very, very positive.
We have to recognize that we're all unique individuals, and that with that uniqueness, we have to be patient with one another. And it's not whether somebody's right or wrong. It's whether they have the endurance to get through some of the problems that they have in their life, and what can we do as other individuals, especially as teachers and educators. How can we help them? How can I help people in my class? How can I help my coworkers? How can I help the parents that have kids in my class? How can I help them become a better individual?
My experience with TBS-DIA in our department has been a sense of family, of working together better, less drama, being more productive, everybody getting along, and just better. We're just better since TBS-DIA was developed.
I've been very fortunate to take a class with Leon Peterson in which I've been able to learn a lot about it. I learned about Deuce Latouille, who is a famous football player, and how he put his mind to being the best offensive lineman, I believe, and he did it. He was kind of mediocre at first, and then he put his mind to it, and he became an outstanding football player in that position. I believe it's a mindset that you take on, and when you take on a positive mindset, you become better at what you're doing.
I am an owner. I think I always have been. An owner is like when someone gives you lemons, are you going to be the whiner to complain and be the victim and say, ugh, what do I need lemons for? Or are you going to own them and say, I can make lemonade out of that? So to be an owner, you're the positive one. You're the one that's turning any bad, negative situation into something positive and doing something with that lemon that's been given to you to try and better people around you and to better yourself, whereas a victim will just gripe and complain and wonder why it was given to them. Why am I having to deal with this?
I got to learn about people that I usually don't work around. I mean, I know we all work here at the Safford High School, but we're still in our own little groups and in our own little sections of the school, and I got to work with people and be in that committee with people that I'm not usually around, and I got to know them a lot better, so it was really nice.
It's interesting, back in the fall, our Superintendent Van Winkle, came to the administration, the principals of all the schools, and the heads of each department on our district campus, and asked us to trust him and to take part in some coaching that he had lined up for us. And so I took part in a 12-week session with the administrators in the fall. And in the beginning, I must say, I was a little skeptical. I'm not a big fan or a big believer in sitting down and airing out my feelings like with a psychiatrist or anything like that on the couch and laying down and explaining all of my worst fears and so on. So I was a little bit of a skeptic going, what is this about? It seemed a little, on the surface to me in the beginning, it seemed a little, I don't even know how to explain it other than I wasn't bought in. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand it. And then once we started going through it and I started listening to some of the things that was happening, and then I would start practicing some of the coaching, the practices that he had taught us. And I started noticing a difference first at home. This year being my first year as principal, I've been a little stressed and I probably haven't done the best job at home. And I noticed when I would put some of these practices to use at home, I was being a better wife, a better mom. And now that I've been actually applying some of it to work, I'm noticing a difference about my feelings toward the kids, toward the students, and toward staff members. And I'm not majoring on the minor anymore.
What started the idea of TBS-DIA? A couple of things. I think I'm going to point to Philip and Leon as they got together and started talking about things just in general, things I think about life and about changing and things maybe we needed to do, we could do here to make even Philip's department, he wanted to do, focus. And he called me. I was actually, I was in a conference in Tucson, and Philip called me and says, you need to watch this video. And it's a video about a former Cardinal football player named Deuce Latouille. And so I watched it. Basically, if you ever get a chance to YouTube it, he talks about he wanted to become, he worked with a coach who helped him become the best he could be. He wanted to be the best offensive lineman in the NFL. So as I saw that, I watched that video, and it was 2 hours long, and I sat there in this hotel room watching the entire thing. And as I watched that, I thought, you know what can we do at Safford School District to become the best school district in Arizona? And when I thought of that, it's like those initials, TBS-DIA, came into my mind, and I called Philip immediately. I don't know if you remember that. And it started rolling from there, and it's been an exciting process.
The biggest thing I've seen is just the caring. Like openness, people just opening up and caring about each other, acknowledging each other, and That would be it. That would be it, Karen.